of disposable products a year? While convenient, it does weigh heavily on the environment as they take up to 500 years to break down. Here is how we can cut down on disposable products. First, use tumblers and mugs instead of plastic or paper cups. When you go grocery shopping, bring a reusable bag so you won't have to ask for a plastic one. At home, instead of reaching for single-use paper towels or wet wipes, use rags and towels. These small steps for the environment can have a big impact on planet Earth. This campaign was brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
It's a freezing cold winter, so let's be prepared for the cold wave in advance. Please be prepared to protect yourself and your family against the cold wave, which can be fatal for people and can create damages such as pipe bursts, icy roads, and frostbite. Keep the temperature warm for the elderly and young children who are more vulnerable to the cold. When you go outside, dress warm so you don't get frostbite. If you get frostbite, put the affected part of your body in warm water for 30 minutes. Keep the area warm and immediately go see a doctor. Keep water meters and boiler pipes from freezing by insulating them with old clothes or other materials. The roads may be icy, so get winter supplies like snow chains and check your car in advance for antifreeze and other necessities. Frequently check for cold wave-related weather forecast through the TV, radio, and the internet. Please follow these guidelines so that we can have a warm...
큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Wherever you are, you may be hearing this kind of echo, barrage of coughs, sneezes, just sniffles, as the cold and flu season is ongoing. And the number of flu patients has come down from its peak in January, but it's still much higher than this time in previous years. Reports say that there are lines out of the door at both hospitals and even crematoriums. And experts say that it's not too late to get your flu shot. And of course, you need to take care of your health during this cold wave this winter. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, February 7th on BEFM 부산영어방송. All right, Wavers, good morning. It's that day, Friday. So welcome to the program. I hope you are all kind of surviving this cold snap that we've been having. And the thing is this, even with my own health, I was experiencing a bit of a cold and it lasted for so long. I got tested over and over, whether it's for the flu or other respiratory illnesses. And just the doctor said, you have the common cold. It just lasts for a really, really long time, lingering with all that phlegm and mucus, right? Well, this year's cold and flu season has actually been bigger than in previous years. So it's not just something that, we think is happening. It's not in our minds, and definitely more persistent. You probably know someone who is sick with the flu. And earlier this week, I covered the story about Barbie Shu Seo-hee-won, who died after complications from the flu, reportedly, turned into pneumonia. And it was tragic. This has prompted a wave of people, both here in South Korea and in Taiwan, into getting their flu vaccines. According to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, the KDCA, we are past the peak of the flu season. That was supposedly the first week of January, with 99.8 flu patients for every 1,000 outpatients. So that's nearly 100 flu patients for every 1,000 outpatients. So although we may be past the apex, the peak, the figures are still quite high at about 36.5 for every 1,000 patients, and that was for the last week of January. And seeing how 8 out of 1,000 is kind of considered the threshold for, a flu, epidemic, 독감 유행, we are still at quadruple the standard. Yes, even though, yes, it has come down, not out of the woods. So local experts say that we are seeing high numbers of deaths from flu-related complications, especially among those who have already other underlying health conditions like high blood pressure or diabetes. And this has led to higher fatalities. So Busan's Yeongnak Park, the public crematorium and funeral service institution, has seen a 28% increase in the number of cremations, with families having to extend, their loved ones' funerals because of the wait time. So once again, although the flu numbers are coming down, they are still high. And this week-long cold snap, it is not helping with that, right? And so what do we need to do? Okay, so the cold weather is not going to bring you a cold or flu, but, we have to remember to wash your hands with what? If you can, with warm water, soap thoroughly. Coughing into your elbow, covering, your cough. Please do that and get vaccinated if you haven't already. Personally, just when I'm out and about, like when I'm not on air and I'm out in the open, I slap on the mask because, I don't want to just inadvertently sneeze. It could just be, something else or there's just a lot going on right now. All right, let's get to our text topic. Here we go. There is K-pop, there's K-beauty, K-food, K-everything these days, right? So what Korean service or item do you think would make it big overseas? Okay, so you need to get your creative hat on today. 해외에서 열몇 대박 날 아이템, 그것은 뭘까요? 한국의 사업 아이템이에요, 근데. So, we have everything, that's exported. Even like K-Kim, everything that's made in Korea that's exported. We had the whole, wave of the ramyeon and all that. So what do you think would be like the next it thing in terms of items or services that would hit it big, make a huge impact, abroad? So that is the text topic. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. So go to the platform YouTube and then search for our channel BEFM or 부산영어방송 to click on the little icon there, subscribe, log in, and chat with our other waivers. Also, on your phone, pound 9050 shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can reach me for free on Kakao Talk. Same thing there. As always, BEFM 부산영어방송 to find our channel. Add us as a friend to send in your messages, photos as well. The ways you can listen to us these days, we started with a whole 90.5, and then we are also now available on 103.3 FM. That's if you're in the Busan area on the radio. And like I just said, we are streaming live on YouTube as we speak, and you can watch again at your leisure. We also have 2 apps, the BFM app itself, and then we're available on the Popbang app as well. Easy to download, free, so you're good to go. All right, let's talk about our Friday morning that we can look ahead to. We have Casey for Foreign Press Highlights. We have Vasana with What in the World. Our special interview is related with what I was just talking about. Flu and pneumonia. Yes, and the fact that there are flu and pneumonia-related deaths on the rise. Yes, I told you the peak of the flu season, we're coming down. However, there are so many things that we need to know about to protect ourselves better. So we're going to speak to our expert on this in hour number 2. And I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07. These are today's headlines. 3.1 magnitude quake hit city of Chungju. A 3.1 magnitude earthquake struck South Korea's central city of Chungju at 2:35 early this morning. And the Korea Meteorological Administration, or KMA, has said that it was the strongest among 7 quakes that have struck the Korean peninsula this year. EC blue whale exploratory drilling fails to yield economic feasibility. The industry announced the results of the first exploratory drilling in the country's blue whale prospect, which failed once again to show economic feasibility. Conflicting testimonies heard at Yoon's impeachment hearing. Witnesses, including former military commanders, gave conflicting testimony over whether President Yoon Suk-yeol ordered the removal of lawmakers during the December 3rd martial law. State of emergency declared for Santorini after quakes. A state of emergency has been declared on the Greek island of Santorini after days of consecutive earthquakes, including a magnitude 5.2 tremor. Ninth Asian Winter Games to open in Harbin, China. The 9th Asian Winter Games are set to open Friday, local time, in the Chinese city of Harbin, with the opening ceremony to start at 9 p.m. Korea Standard Time. These are today's headlines. Listeners, it is now time to check in with Sue for Busan updates. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, yes.
Okay, so this might be maybe an easy one, a tough one. I don't know. We're talking about like K culture. It's so popular abroad, right?
Yes.
And so do you have any like item or service you think that is uniquely Korean that you think, hey, if this made it abroad, it might be a hit. So do you have any ideas like that?
Well, pretty much everything is out there. So
right.
We're so proud of our culture and food and everything. But if I were to pick one item,
yes,
that would be hot pack.
Oh,
do they have it?
I don't know. It's been so. The thing is, like, because I'm from LA.
Oh, right.
There was no need for I'm sure there are hot packs, right?
Right.
But I get it because, like, here in Korea, they're so prevalent and they're so useful.
And I'm thinking about Canada, so
yeah,
we could use some.
Yeah. So send us a message. They might have those already. But anyway, it's good to maybe emphasize
all right.
how good those are and how useful they are, right? Okay, we're going to dive into Busan updates. So the centrist conservative preliminary candidate Park Jong-pil, he criticized other preliminary candidates running in the Busan Superintendent of Education by-election and called for the unification of conservative candidates. So tell us more about this.
So far, the Busan Superintendent by-election has been facing challenges in candidate unification, raising the likelihood of a multi-candidate race. So Park Jong-pil stated that despite the effort for unification, the process is now on the verge of collapse. He criticized preliminary candidate Chun Young-gun for breaking his agreement on on the unification process and failing to attend the scheduled meeting. He also urged Professor Jung Sung-yoon of Busan National University to clarify his stance on unification instead of engaging in political activities. In addition, he called on acting superintendent Choi Yun-hong to clearly state his intention not to run and focus on his current role if he's not participating in the election. And like I said before, unification in an election process is really important because it helps consolidate support and prevent vote splitting. And vote splitting can divide the votes of candidates who share similar political political views, and it can eventually allow an opposing candidate with a different stance to win with a lower percentage of total votes.
Yes, yes. So that's what's happening once again in the Busan Superintendent of Education by-election. So important because, education here in Korea, across the board, very, very important. So let's move on now and talk about children's sand playgrounds. They're left in what are called safety blind spots. So what's this about?
Yes. So concerns have been raised that children's sand playgrounds are left vulnerable to exposure to heavy metals, parasites, and other hazards, raising worries that a clean and safe play environment is not being ensured.
Yes, yes. So more about this. So it seems that there are factors for concern. So what are the major concerns here?
So in Busan, local governments conduct annual inspections of children's play facilities, but due to staff shortages, only about 20% of facilities are inspected each year. And during this process, sand playgrounds are often excluded from inspections. A detailed review by the Busan Health and Environment Research Institute found that only 3 sand safety inspections were conducted over the past 2 years. And the issue comes from the absence of a clear inspection cycle, as there is no legally mandated schedule for 3 checks. For these checks, and uninspected facilities are given priority. And also, Busan has around 480 sand playgrounds. While there has been a trend of replacing playground floors with urethane, many older residential areas still have sand playgrounds.
Right.
And as the number of pet owners are increasing, this trend has raised concerns about potential contamination of the sand by pet waste, because animal feces can pollute leading to parasite issues.
Ooh, and definitely if you have a pet, you need to, pick up after your pet, please. Well, it does sound like there are, we need more inspections basically, right?
Yes. So in response to these concerns, Busan City and the Health Environment Research Institute will begin inspecting 50 sand playgrounds starting in April. The inspections will test for parasites and 6 types of heavy metals. If issues are found, the investigation will expand to cover all sand playgrounds in the city. The Research Institute also plans to include sand playgrounds in future annual inspections of children's play facilities.
Yes, yes. So hopefully they get that under control. We want these playgrounds to be safe for everyone, but especially children. Next, let's talk about this. This female majority phenomenon among new elementary school teachers in Busan. Apparently this has grown, right? So tell us about this story.
This year, the gender imbalance among new teachers in Busan public elementary and special education schools has continued, with women making up almost around 73% of successful candidates.
Okay.
And slightly increasing from the previous year. Men accounted for only 27.1%. This is a 1% point decrease from the previous year. The gender gap was particularly noticeable in elementary education, where the majority of successful candidates were women. In special education for kindergartens, all 6 successful candidates were women as well. Despite the increasing number of teacher retirements, the government has been reducing the overall number of new teacher appointments due to declining birth rates and student enrollment.
Right.
So in line with the government's teacher recruitment trends, the Busan Education Office is adjusting its hiring plans. So 540 middle school teachers are set to be hired in February. And this includes subject teachers, health teachers, counselors, nutritionists, and special education teachers.
I see. Of course, we would like, a balance in all sectors and industries, but this is one that I guess is continuing for now, this imbalance. We're going to move to our 4th and final story. So it seems that Busan City is recruiting 20 couples for the public wedding hall small wedding support program. So this is through February 28th. Tell us more about this one.
Yes, this is called 공공예식장 작은 결혼식 지원 사업. My brother's getting married in March.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, and he has been complaining how much it cost him to prepare for the venue and such.
Right.
So I wish this program was launched beforehand. So
You could have benefited, right?
Yes. So this program aims to promote the modest and rational wedding culture and reduce the financial burden of wedding expenses for couples. Couples will be provided with financial support of up to 1 million won if they hold their weddings at public wedding venues in Busan.
Okay.
So costs such as decoration, venue rental, photography, and events will be covered. And to qualify, at least one person should be a registered resident of the city. Applicants must first reserve a wedding venue and then apply for the support. The detailed information about the venues and reservations can be found on the Busan City website under the Public Wedding Hall section.
Okay.
Applications for the support can be made through Subsidy 24 website or via email. And through a lottery system, couples will be selected. And after the wedding, couples can submit their receipts and supporting documents within 1 month to receive reimbursement up to 1 million won.
I see. So I hear that currently there are 12 public wedding venues that are open here in Busan. Is that correct?
Yes. So to name a few, there are Chungnyeolsa Outdoor Garden for traditional weddings, Seoggu District Office Multipurpose Hall, and Peace Park in Namgu District. The city plans to continue identifying and opening more public facilities, such as government buildings and parks, as wedding venues.
And once again, I'm sure it's really stressful for any couple out there planning their wedding, but best of luck and congratulations to your brother ahead of time.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, this was Sue with a Busan update. And now I'm going to get you your traffic and weather. It's time for your traffic report right now at 7:19 on this Friday morning. It seems to be congested on the Dongso overpass from Bumnekgo ramp to the old Gegum tollgate. Also, looking quite slow on Luno Samsungdaero from Myeongji underpass to Shino Bridge. There's some traffic buildup on Nakdong Namno from Myeongji interchange to Gangsa Police Station right now as well. As for the weather, it is currently -1 degree Celsius under clear skies, and you can expect a similar high as yesterday. We're looking at around 3 degrees Celsius. There is a dry weather special alert in place over Busan. The cold wave continues across the country with snow coming down in most parts of the country. And I see some of you have posted that it is snowing in your neck of the woods already. Busan may see some flurries later this morning as well. We'll be on the lookout for that. Across the weekend, we have another couple of cold days coming up. Tomorrow, are you ready for this tomorrow? A low of -8, high of 2. Slightly better on Sunday. We're expecting a low of -6 and a high of 5 degrees Celsius. Clear skies for both days, but yeah, it's going to be another cold few days. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for us to check in with Haley. She's in the studio with us for News Digest. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's our favorite day. It's finally here. I know. I so need. You know, after coming back from such a long holiday stretch, this week has been kind of like tough for me, at least personally.
It's been rough. It's like an on-ramp onto the highway. Like you're like you see the other cars going, 80, 100 kilometers, miles, whatever per hour, and you're just like, what? Like, what?
I'm at like 40.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm getting there. Wait for me.
Yeah.
Let me in. Yeah.
Hey, so let's turn to our text topic first. So what like brilliant idea do you have? What do you want to send out to the rest of the world?
All right.
Okay, what?
I'm thinking it's controversial. Korean weddings, K-weddings, because, I mean, some people hate it, but it's also efficient if it's like a wedding of a person. not your best friend, nor immediate family member, because
Maybe a colleague.
maybe like cousins,
Distant
whatever,
cousins.
second cousins, however many times
Twice removed.
right? Because American weddings, and I say American because I've only been to American weddings, they're long.
They're long.
They last the entire. I mean, if you have a wedding, that's an entire day affair, and they're fun.
And the venue is usually booked for that wedding.
Exactly.
Like,
and
that's
there's
it.
usually an open bar, which means it's gonna go well into the night. And you know, I love you, whomever's wedding I went to, but you know, it's sometimes you got stuff.
And then like, you know, if there's a reception, there's like a lot of with an open bar, there's a dance floor, and there's a, you know, traditional, you know, father-daughter dance if you know father's still around.
Right.
And then the first dance for
father
the couple,
figure, whomever.
Yeah. And then like it goes on and on. Well, it does depend though if there's a good DJ or a good band.
That's true.
Versus like
I know.
Get me out of here.
Exactly. So, you know,
Yes.
the quick Korean weddings, like maximum 2 hours, you're out of there, you get your meal ticket. And if you're really impatient, like some of the older people I've seen, they'll give the envelope, get the meal ticket, and just go.
I know.
They don't even go to the wedding. They'll just go to the meal. And I'm like, you know, take it or leave it, but efficient weddings for
It is efficient, but I don't know. When I first saw this, I kind of was like amazed.
It's kind of like mass-produced weddings.
It's like a factory.
Yeah.
That's what I thought in the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, but it is efficient. That's
It is
true.
efficient.
All right, good one. We're going to jump into our first story for News Digest. Let's begin with a recap of the 6 oral arguments from President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment trial. What went down?
All right, so the key point of contention from yesterday, whether President Yoon Suk-yeol ordered for lawmakers to be quote-unquote dragged out or removed from the National Assembly on the night of the martial law imposition, December 3rd. So this was essentially to allegedly prevent them from basically voting to end martial law imposition. So the key witness yesterday was Lieutenant General Kwak Jong-gun, who back then was the chief of the Army Special Warfare Command. So Kwak said he received a call from the president on the night of the 3rd and testified to the comment that former Defense Minister Kim Hyong-un made in Parliament, because back then Kim claimed that Kim claimed that President Yoon did not order for the lawmakers, and there was a bit of a parsing of words because in Korean, lawmakers is 의원, not for the lawmakers to be dragged out or taken out, but for the agents, 요원, to be removed from parliament.
Right.
However, General Kwak disputed this and said that there were no agents inside the National Assembly at the time of the call. So he understood this to mean that it was the lawmakers that were ordered to be removed. He also confirmed that President Yoon indeed called him and said that it doesn't seem that the parliament had enough lawmakers at the moment of the call to meet quorum, meaning enough lawmakers to pass the motion.
Yes.
So kind of there was a sense of urgency that night.
However, President Yoon, his side, refuted this.
Right. So he asked for the court for a chance for him to speak, and he actually accused Kwak of plotting against him, claiming that he never used this term, Asian or lawmaker. And he added that Kwak never refuted his order or claimed that this order was impossible to carry out. And President Yoon stated that this proves that such alleged order was never given in the first place. So that was his claims. And actually earlier during the hearing, another prominent army figure, Colonel Kim Hyun-tae, the head of the Army Special Warfare Command's 107th Special Mission Group, said that he had been ordered to seal off and secure the National Assembly building while the martial law decree was in force.
So that is what happened yesterday. And so this is, of course, going to go on for weeks on end, so we'll continue to cover this story. Up next, let's talk about this. It seems that more and more government agencies are blocking access to DeepSeek's chatbot, at least from their computers, right?
Right. So yesterday it started with the the Defense and Trade Ministries. Now the Environment Ministry has joined in along with the Ministry of Economy and Finance.
Right.
So this is the restricting DeepSeek from the PCs that have external internet access. So the position from the government is that they're not certain of how DeepSeek collects personal information. So therefore, the intelligence authorities have advised caution. So what we can glean from the ministries that have already given this restriction, the move is spreading from yesterday, the ministries that by their nature have very sensitive security-related information.
Okay.
Foreign defense and trade. But now the economy and social ministries are joining in as well.
I see.
The police, the national police, is also said to have done the same thing across some 50,000 computers nationwide that have internet access.
As this is going on, though, Chinese companies are going all in on artificial intelligence.
Right. So DeepSeek isn't the only Chinese company that we may
Right.
see with its own artificial intelligence model. So,
Right.
of course, DeepSeek gave us a shock from a relatively unknown startup. But attention is now over the other AI startups, along with Chinese giants that are now shifting their company's direction to go all in on AI. So, industry insiders say that what DeepSeek proved is that China, or at least this particular company, it has the ability to develop very effective models without the top functioning semiconductor chips, namely from NVIDIA. So that gives the company and the country really a competitive edge against the more Western competitors.
Yes.
It also raises expectations for other smaller startups that were considered to be ahead of DeepSeek before the R1 model came out. And other giants like Alibaba, ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, and Baidu, they're also funneling their resources into AI development.
I see. So we're going to see more of these DeepSeek-like companies with their own respective programs in the future, it seems. All right, let's move on for now. This story really bothered me when I saw this.
Right.
The country's only training center for trauma doctors is going to close its training program.
And
what?
Can we afford to do that?
I mean, in this era, really?
I
Okay.
mean, yeah, just so trauma specialists, they are an integral part of the country's emergency medical care.
Yes.
And we know, I mean, honestly though, if you ask me to name one trauma doctor, we can only name one.
One.
Dr. Lee Guk-jong.
Exactly.
But then over the holidays, a lot of people watch this hit show, The Trauma Code, Heroes on Call, 중증 외상
Yes.
센터. And, you know, of course, fiction is fiction, but it does raise awareness as to how crucial this job is. So what they do is they treat surgical patients who have been through serious trauma. So that could include anything from car accidents, falls, plane crashes, to gunshot wounds because they involve multiple urgent injuries.
Sure.
But then also, whether it be from truth or fiction, we are familiar with the various challenges they face, whether it be from lack of resources and staff to kind of outside impact or influence. But it seems that the country's only trauma specialist training center is going to shut down at the end of this month. Excuse me. So this is the Korea University's Kuro Hospital, 고대 Kuro 병원. So this hospital was found 11 years ago in 2014, and they train 2 trauma specialists every year on national scholarships. So that means so far it has produced around 20 trauma specialists.
Which is it's a good thing. We
Right.
can't rely on one kind of like famous doctor, reputable doctor to do everything.
To do how many traumas that come in through the day. Right.
Right. So why are they shutting down this program?
Money, funding. But also the amount really kind of irks me because
bothered me so
I know
much.
this on an individual level. That's
Yes.
I don't know money that I'll never have, but it's 900 million won.
9억 won.
9억 won, which is pennies when it comes to the overall government budget.
Exactly.
So the government has cut the funding. So what happens is the center gets government funding, and this program, the specialist training program, operates on public funding. Last year, that was 900 million won from for fostering trauma specialists. So the Ministry of Health had cut the funding for the program in its entirety, citing kind of efficiency reasons. Although, you know, just saying some government programs are not meant to be super effective or they're not supposed to make money.
Yes.
Anyways, so that shut down the program. The health ministry said that it did allocate the budget, but the Economy and Finance Ministry cut the program in the evaluations phase. The Parliament tried to bring it back in the Health and Welfare Committee level. They revived the budget. But because the National Assembly, amidst everything that's going on, they didn't hold the end of the year extra budget discussion, so it kind of fell through. So I know what's going on in the political sphere side of things is crucial for the country's democracy and political future and whatnot, but also critical trauma specialist budget seems crucial as well. By the way, keep in mind that the center will still function as a hospital, but just not trained specialists.
But we need those specialists.
Absolutely.
9억 won.
900 million won, which, yeah.
All right, let's move on though. For now, Trump's tariffs are definitely a top priority and a concern for many economies. And in South Korea, there are concerns that this may, there might be restrictions on Korea as well. Korean exports to the U.S. now, right?
Right. So speaking of things that we would like to export, but
Right.
maybe things that will be now expensive, K-food. So according to the Korea Rural Economic Institute, the U.S. actually last year became the top Korean food export destination.
That's right.
Coming to $1.5 billion or about 2.2 trillion won. So it had jumped to first place for the first time because usually the U.S. is in third place as an export destination, top being Japan and China. But that means that the U.S. is now this massive market with huge potential for growth. The most popular, maybe you can guess, ramen. Exactly. But here's the thing. If the United States does decide to impose tariffs on Korean exports, this could pose grave challenges for these K-ramens and K-foods.
Right.
So let's look at one particular company, Samyang Foods, which is the creator of 불닭, the fire chicken noodles, because Samyang makes all of their products in South Korea. So everything that goes out to the U.S. is made in Korea, exported.
Yes.
And exports, they account for 77% of Samyang's total sales.
Really?
Right.
Oh.
Other popular snacks like 빼빼로 and 꼬북칩, which apparently have become very popular as well, making it big in the U.S., they're all monitoring the situation closely because once again, most of their products are made in South Korea.
Yes.
The list goes on and on for kimchi and soju as well. But despite the concerns, the Korean government is currently taking a more subdued stance. The Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs said that it is monitoring the situations, but because President Trump hasn't announced any specific tariffs yet, that they're just keeping an eye on the situation.
So I'm sure a lot of companies, executives are nervous right now.
Right.
Well, thank you for going over all the news. And of course, we look forward to Wagga Wagga.
We'll see you in a bit.
All right. Thank you, Haley. Now it's time to get to our first song of the morning for this Friday. An oldie but goodie. This is Emotions by Mariah Carey. All right, so who is singing along to that track? She does sound like a dolphin. Somebody will say, I think Michael will sing dolphin sounds. She can definitely hit those high notes, or at least she used to be able to. Still a great singer, by the way. All right, tech topic time. We have everything K-culture, K-pop, K-content, K-beauty, K-food, you name it. It seems to be such a trend. And I hope it's not just like just a passing trend that, K-culture is really affecting and influencing the world. I mean, I don't assume or think like, oh, everybody has to love everything that's Korean. But, to have exposure to K-culture, I think that's pretty amazing that it's spreading around the world. So, question, what Korean service or item do you think would make it big overseas? 자, 해외에서 열면 대박 날 것 같은 한국의 사업 아이템 서비스 뭘까요? So I thought about this. And by the way, some of you have some really good ideas. For example, where did I see? I think it was Yunjung Waver. By the way, is it your birthday? If it is, yeah, happy birthday. She said, 이땡 토스트. I don't know. Is it already abroad? I don't know. But if not, she says 외국에 오픈해도 괜찮은 것 같아요. 한국 국내에서 we call it toast or 토스트빵이라고 하잖아요. It's very different from what we consider as we would just call them sandwiches, but it's a very unique Korean kind of sandwich. A little sweeter than most sandwiches that you would find abroad. So that's a good idea, right? Without giving the brand name. I thought of one too, though. I think that K-Kids cafes, so amazing, so clean, and they're just like top of the line, state of the art. Those would do well in this, anywhere abroad. And I know that there are kids cafes in various countries, but not to the level of what we have here with the super, cool interiors with so many activities. The only thing I do worry about is, let's say in the States, everybody is so litigious. 너무 소송 많이 걸어요. 조금만 살짝 다쳐도 그러면 소송 걸고 해서 I don't know if it would work. So if we could take away the lawsuits, I think kids cafes, the K-Kids cafes are amazing because, they have a separate section for where the parents can hang out and have coffee or even have beer. So I don't know. That's just my thought. Anyhow, let's get to Cat's Pick real quick. For today's Cat's Pick, it's all about Trump's tariffs, what this might mean for huge conglomerates from China. We're talking about Shein and Temu, or even AliExpress specifically. Here is the clip from ABC News Australia.
Shein and Temu flooded the United States with cheap Chinese products after Donald Trump's first presidency. Everyone was shopping online during the pandemic. Then the cost of living crisis turbocharged their popularity. The e-commerce giants took advantage of a tax loophole, which allowed parcels into America under the value of $800 to avoid import levies. It's estimated customs officials processed over 4 million packages a day in 2024, with goods from Shein and Temu accounting for more than 30%. The sheer volume of shipments was a problem, as authorities couldn't check them all, allowing illegal drugs like fentanyl to slip through. The tax loophole, known as the de minimis exemption, has now been closed, meaning Shein and Temu products are subject to the new 10% tariff, which comes on top of past tariffs levied against China, which experts say now amounts to about 20%. So Americans ordering $100 worth of their products would now fork out $120 because of a $20 import duty, which will only add to inflation in the United States. Donald Trump has been threatening tariffs for a while, giving these companies time to plan. Many popular products have already been shipped into America and are sitting in warehouses waiting to be sold. Temu is also shifting away from marketing itself as ultra cheap to offering more affordable prices. Shein and Temu's main US rival, Amazon, would also be hit by the tariffs and tax decision, as many of its sellers come from China. But its founder and CEO, Jeff Bezos, could seek an exemption, like President Trump granted Apple for iPhones. That would give the US tech giant an advantage over Temu.
In in short, especially right now for U.S. consumers, there might be some concern because it does seem, at least for now, that there is going to be a hike in the prices of goods because they have closed that loophole. So we'll see what happens. And like Haley mentioned earlier, will there be a tariff on Korean goods as well? We don't know. This was Cat's Pick for today. All right, welcome back, everybody. So I did a little mix-up. Okay, so I put the wrong thing at the wrong place. So let me move this down a little bit. Sorry. Bear with me, people. Okay, I'll be back with Casey in just a little bit as soon as I move this down. Okay, it got moved. Okay, so here we go.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
All right, we have Casey in the house. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you?
Good. I'm staring at myself. I'm sitting on the opposite side of the room.
It's so odd, isn't it?
Turn it away.
CEO Casey. That's what I deal with every day, having to ignore myself.
Right.
But isn't it like your face just gravitates towards
I'm having a hard time not looking at myself.
Yes. Well, it's a beautiful face. What's not to look at?
Oh.
Okay, you can pay me later.
Yes. All right. We agreed upon what? 5,000원 was good?
5,000원, that's all? Okay. How about 5,000원?
It's been a tough week. There's a lot of fears about tariffs and stuff.
Indeed. We're going to jump into our first story for Foreign Press Highlights. What have you brought for us?
Well, actually, this is related, not exactly with tariffs, but this is related to the role of banks. And this is something I was like, I don't know if I could answer this question effectively. Do you mind an early morning pop quiz?
All right, here we go.
Do you know what central bank's purpose is, basically?
The central bank?
Central banks. And,
I don't know. I was so bad. Okay, of all the subjects.
Yeah.
I mean, I got an A-, but, econ wasn't one of my...
A-?
Wasn't one of my strengths. I mean, to kind of set interest rates.
Yep.
And also come up with policies that are going to make sure, the market, all the markets out there are stable. I don't know. That's
a
my
really
answer.
good answer.
Oh, is it? Okay.
That's better than I could have done.
Hence the A-.
But yeah, I don't want to share my grade for that class, I think.
Okay.
I don't remember, but
yes.
Not good.
Okay.
So, according to CNBC, central banks, by and large, have one basic mandate. They want to ensure price stability and control inflation in a country, and they do that through policy. They do that, through setting the interest rate. So, yeah, really good answer.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Well earned. So the policymakers here in South Korea, however, have to contend with something else. Managing high household debt. And this is kind of, yes.
I saw the headlines too on this. I was like, yeah, apparently everyone has some debt.
Yeah, and this article reveals how much and how unique it is to Korea.
Okay.
So basically, anytime the Bank of Korea has a monetary policy decision, they're going to reference household debt.
Okay.
And according to a speech on January 2nd from the Bank of Korea Governor Ri Chang-yong, there has been some criticism regarding why the Bank of Korea takes household debt into account and appears overly cautious when deciding the base rate.
Well, let's talk about why it's different here.
Okay, and as you mentioned, there is a headline that kind of is an eye-catcher.
Yes.
The headline from CNBC this week has South Korea has a big household debt problem. The country's unique rental system may be to blame. And I was like, really?
Are they talking about the jeonse thing?
Yeah, so this article, they explain jeonse. And have you ever tried to explain jeonse to somebody who's not from Korea or has never been to Korea?
It's kind of really because people always just go, huh? That's huge.
Right.
That's the first response. And then the next question I always get is, then why don't they just buy the home? Because at that, rate, it's
because they're just in case somebody doesn't know what jeonse is, who might be listening. Okay. So this article does explain jeonse. They translate it as key money, which is often what people say in English here as well.
Yes.
But it's a gigantic deposit is what it is.
It's huge.
And the jeonse is about 50 to 80% of the market value of the property. I actually didn't know that.
I
didn't know it was that high.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it was high, but I didn't know it was...
you didn't know that high, right?
And you got a really good point, and I understand why people might ask, if you're paying 80% of the market value of a property, why not just try to buy it? because people can't. And that's been, a lot of the issues here with the housing prices outright is...
Because like in the States, because I used to do mortgage loans, usually I know people put more, it's like 20% down and you get an 80% loan. It's very common.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, it's the flip, right? The opposite, right? So basically they explain the Junsei system to an international audience, and I think it's not done anywhere else. And there's some repercussions for that I was kind of not aware of.
Okay.
Basically, one of the reasons that it's been a popular thing, but from what I hear from people too, it's kind of hard to find Junsei these days, and it has been for a while.
Especially with all the scams and the fraud.
That's another thing that they don't mention in the article. That
we know.
Right.
But we know.
And that's been widely reported here. But what it works out for the landlord to be is an interest-free loan, which they're free to invest, which, sounds like a wonderful thing. But the issue is for the renters that because it is so high, they often have to borrow a lot of money to enable to afford the Junsei.
So it's kind of like ironic that they're getting a loan.
Right.
To put the lump sum deposit, the key
we know
money.
Your opinion on it.
The key money. Oh, the Freudian slip.
That's Freudian.
The key money down. So it's kind of like, then why not just, once again.
Why not get a loan towards like buying a house,
like getting a mortgage.
Right.
But once again, the loan to value ratios are quite different here in Korea.
Yeah.
Right.
And they put up some specific numbers, and they basically, the point of the article is that the high household debt in Korea is really kind of dangerous. It kind of makes not just the financial sector, but also the housing sector, a lot of different sectors that are interconnected, very fragile, as they kind of say.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things they point out is comparing to other countries. So I was like, okay, that kind of puts it in context for me. According to the Bank of International Settlements, South Korea's household debt ratio stood at 91% of GDP as of the second quarter of last year. And that sounds extremely high to me.
It does.
But I was like, okay, well, what can we compare it to? They say the household debt in other advanced countries stands at 68.9% on average.
Ooh.
So that's quite a bit higher.
Yes.
If you want to break it down in the region, data from the International Monetary Fund showed that South Korea has the highest household debt to GDP ratio among Asian countries as of 2023. Again, a very high number, 93.54.
Right.
This surprised me. China, which is the largest economy in Asia, had only a ratio of 63.67. India was down to 39.16. So it's like, wow, that's a big difference. All right, what about the neighbor Japan here? 65.66 in 2023. So quite a big difference.
Yes,
I was shocked by
real quick, because I want to get to the kimchi story.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so...
What can they do?
What can they do?
Okay, so basically the Bank of Korea will be watching to see what they do. Basically, they need to cut rates to stimulate the slowing economy, to alleviate debt, but also cutting rates would maybe weaken the won and increase inflation in other ways, and could spur an increase in potential demand for houses. So it's kind
I'm
of like...
so glad I don't work for the Bank of Korea.
Right. That's a big lesson from the article for me, too. I was like, oh, man, what do you do?
That's why I'm not an economist.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing this. If you want more information, people, you can check out the article with CNBC.
That's right.
All right, next.
Okay, your opinion. Is kimchi a solid or a liquid?
Oh, why did I say I wanted to do this story? Kind of both. Like, I would say 90% solid. But there's the kimchi 국물. There's a little bit of liquid.
And that's what's been getting people in trouble.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where?
At the airport. So this was, I think this was reported kind of earlier in the week, but basically the idea of this story it's from CNN, and the headline is South Korean airport officials confiscated almost 11 tons of kimchi last year.
Just from Incheon, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, a good point. Just from Incheon. There's other possible confiscation points as well. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
But the idea is, you see people making that mistake all the time, trying to carry that bottle of water on. Don't even bother. They're going to take it.
They're going to take it away.
They're going to take your tubes of shower gel.
Changed.
Right.
Yes.
And a lot of times, the rules are kind of clearly posted on a sign.
But would you I don't know. I'm just asking.
Yes.
Okay, people, I'm asking. I mean, would you want to take kimchi on your carry-on?
I wanted to ask you that. Have you ever even considered that?
No, I have never taken kimchi abroad. I love kimchi, by the way. I make my own, but I'm just saying not abroad and like on your carry-on, because that's like dangerous. It could explode.
Yeah, and also, isn't it kind of inconsiderate?
Just
Is it gonna smell?
stinky.
I
love
took,
kimchi though. Yes.
I took bagels back from New York here, and it was I took a garlic bagel, and my whole carry-on bag smelled like garlic for like the next year. It
and
was like
even
nothing.
though it was wrapped and stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I wrapped it tightly. I hope. But yeah, like
Apparently not tight enough.
no, definitely not. So I don't recommend the garlic bagel in your carry-on. But basically, yeah, kimchi is considered a liquid because it usually comes in a bottle or a plastic bag. Bottle, interesting.
Yes.
And it's soaked in, obviously, the sauce, which
The
makes it so good.
cooler, yeah.
And that's the part that makes it count as a liquid. So, like a lot of other airports around the world, authorities at ICN, or the Incheon International Airport,
Yes.
ban liquids and gels exceeding 100 milliliters in carry-on luggage. So, yes. And there is a
You've been warned.
YouTuber out there who posted a reminder. It's had 1.2 million views just reminding people don't carry your kimchi on the carry-on
Okay,
bag.
so Casey has warned you, and we're going to have to end it on that note.
Yes.
No kimchi in your carry-on.
Don't do it.
All right. Thank you, Casey, for your informative stories, and we'll check in with you next week. So many comments on how beautiful you look with the sweater and all that.
Oh, thanks. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, everybody. This was Casey. And we're going to get to our final song of hour number 1. This is Sherry Sherry Lady by Modern Talking.
Oh, I cannot explain. Every time it's the same. Oh, I feel that it's real. Take my heart. I've been lonely too long. Oh, I can't be so strong. Take the chance for a man. Take my heart. I need you so. There's no time I'll ever go. Sherry, Sherry lady, going through emotion. Love is where you find it. Listen to your heart. Sherry, Sherry lady, living in devotion. It's always like the first time. Let me take your part. Sherry, Sherry lady, life is not tomorrow. Take my heart to lose it. Listen to your heart. Sherry, Sherry lady, it's no use to love you. If you know me, baby, I'll be always yours.
Your Bridge to the World. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
These are the guidelines for action for people in the event of an apartment building fire. First, if evacuation is possible in the event of a fire in your home, move to a safe place in a low posture by using stairs. And if evacuation is difficult, move to an evacuation space or block the door gap and call 119 for rescue. Second, if a fire breaks out in another home and no flames or smoke enters your home, wait inside the home, call 119, and act according to the announcement. Third, if flames and smoke come into your home in the event of a fire in another home, check to see if evacuation is possible and then evacuate or request rescue. This was brought to you by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the National Fire Agency.
살림꾼 김재우의 살림템 추천. 창틀 바람막이로 실내 온기 지켜줄게. 포장은 다회용기로, 플라스틱 거절한다. 우리 식재료로 유통을 줄이면 탄소를 줄일 수 있어. 이 모든 건 기후위기에 대응하는 지구 살림템. 여러분도 함께해요. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning,
Dynamic Busan.
yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. It's time for news highlights. 3.1 magnitude quake hit city of Chungju. A 3.1 magnitude earthquake struck South Korea's central city of Chungju at 2:35 this morning, said the Korea Meteorological Administration, or KMA, the strongest among 7 quakes that have struck the Korean peninsula this year. The KMA said that the earthquake took place 22 kilometers northwest of Chungju City Hall in Chungbuk Province, with the epicenter in the town of Angsong, with a depth measured at 9 kilometers. The government operated the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters and issued a quake level alert of vigilance. Although no damages have been reported yet, the agency has ordered for an emergency response system. EC blue whale exploratory drilling fails to yield economic feasibility. The industry ministry announced the results of the first exploratory drilling in the country's blue whale project, which failed to show economic feasibility. The country conducted the first exploratory drilling into one of the 7 potential oil and gas reserves discovered last year in the deep sea off the coast of Pohang. The preliminary result of the drilling showed that the blue whale prospect has signs of gas, but the hydrocarbon saturation rate, a key factor in estimating how much oil and gas can be produced from a reservoir, was not meaningful enough to have economic feasibility. Conflicting testimonies heard at Yoon's impeachment hearing. Witnesses, including former military commanders, gave conflicting testimonies over whether President Yoon Suk-yeol ordered the removal of lawmakers from the December 3rd martial law. A key point of contention in Yoon's impeachment trial was whether he had ordered politicians to be dragged out of the National Assembly to stop the motion to rescind martial law from passing. Yoon has denied that he gave orders to have lawmakers removed to prevent the parliament from reaching quorum. Yesterday's hearing ended after 8 hours. The 7th oral arguments in Yoon's impeachment trials are slated for next Tuesday. State of emergency declared for Santorini after quakes. A state of emergency has been declared on the Greek island of Santorini after days of consecutive earthquakes, including a magnitude 5.2 tremor. The measures will be in effect until March 3rd to address the emergency needs and manage consequences, authorities said. The emergency decree allows for immediate repairs for public infrastructure. So far, no major damage has been reported on the island, but authorities are preparing in case a larger quake hits. Over 11,000 people have already left the island. Ninth Asian Winter Games to open in Harbin, China. The 9th Asian Winter Games are set to open Friday, local time, in the Chinese city of Harbin, with the opening ceremony to start at 9 p.m. Korea Standard Time. The event will bring some 1,300 athletes from 34 countries, the highest yet. And it is a first of its kind since the 2017 Asian Winter Games in Sapporo, Japan. Team Korea, which ranked second with 16 gold, 18 silver, and 16 bronze medals in 2017, is hoping to reclaim the second place title, with a total of 11 gold medals in the short track speed skating, alpine skiing, freestyle skiing, and curling. And this was News Highlights. All right, this is a BG for Wagga Wagga, which we're going to get into in just a little bit. But I wanted to share with you, before we have Haley on air with us, this public service announcement. So this is from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and Korea Forest Service. They've issued this public service announcement at 7:29 a.m. this morning, February 7th, 2025. Here are the precautions for preventing wildfires. So first up, no burning of paddy field ridges, agricultural waste, or trash in forest areas. No smoking or disposal of cigarette butts in forest areas. No carrying of lighters or flammable materials when entering forest areas. And please dispose of ashes from wood-burning boilers completely to prevent residual embers. And also, lighting a fire or bringing any type of fire into forest areas may result in a fine of up to 1 million Korean won. And if a wildfire occurs due to negligence, penalties may include up to 3 years in prison or a fine of up to 30 million Korean won. Very, very hefty. So please keep this in mind. This was a message from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety and the Korea Forest Service. All right, and now we are ready for Haley and, of course, Wagga Wagga. So welcome back to the studio.
Are you doing the
BG?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So we have it there. Oh, I like your little drum, the hi-hat, the So the first story we're going to cover today, one standing committee member of the National Human Rights Commission has recently made a very controversial comment. So let's go over that.
This is the member, Kim Yong-won of the Human Rights Commission Standing Committee. By the way, this position is similar to a vice minister's position, so a high-ranking government official. So Kim, has been defending President Yoon Suk-yeol's martial law declaration. And he has also gone on to then support this Korean history teacher, Chun Han-gil, whom we've covered on this segment before. So because Chun has come out also in support of the martial law declaration,
a civic group had filed a legal complaint against this particular teacher for defamation over posting false information and even inciting insurrection. That's because this teacher, Chon Han-gil, said that people will storm the Constitutional Court in protest of the impeachment hearings. So going back to the Human Rights Commission member, Kim Yong-won said first he will represent Chon for free, which if he were to do that, he does have to do that for free because he's a public official. Also claims that Chon did nothing wrong. But then this is where things could get problematic because Kim also made comments that could be construed as threatening the Constitutional Court. So he stated that if the Constitutional Court goes against the will of the people and impeaches the president, then the people should, quote, beat down and break the Constitutional Court and destroy it beyond any remnants, unquote. Right. So once again, going back to this figure being on par with the vice minister's position.
Okay.
He also claims that the Constitutional Court has become a cheap political subcontractor of the opposition party and said that the trials are a public scam. So once again, free speech is free speech, but we have also seen a very concerning pattern of violent political protests. So pundits and the public, they've expressed concern about this extreme rhetoric, especially going back to that Seoul's Seobu Regional Court attack. And we definitely don't want to see any violence, but especially against judicial branches. Right.
And hence we're talking about this issue on this segment here. All right. We're going to now turn to the U.S. for our next story. President Donald Trump's latest executive order has to do with banning transgender women from female sports.
Right. So this is also another controversial issue. So that order is now in effect. It bans transgender women and girls from competing in female categories of sports.
Right.
So it largely covers actually university and school level and grassroots sports. That's because if you go to elite levels, already sports governing bodies, including swimming, athletics, and golf, they have already banned transgender women from competing in female sports if they have gone through male puberty. This has to do with kind of muscle mass, strength, and testosterone issues. But what it does, this particular executive order, it actually gets Department of Education, so their education ministry involved. So there's this law thing called Title IX, and it basically bans discrimination based on gender in education programs.
Yes.
Interestingly, U.S. presidents have defined this differently. Under Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they have used this to say that because transgender is also a gender issue, transgender girls shouldn't be discriminated from participating in sports, in female sports. Donald Trump is interpreting this as saying girls, biologically female girls, born biologically female girls, shouldn't be discriminated by having transgender girls participate in the same sports they do.
Yes, in the same category, right? But it does seem that this order, it may go beyond just schools.
Right, because what's coming up in the United States is the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, which will be within Trump's term. So President Trump specified that this order would include the LA Olympics, and he said that he will deny visas for transgender Olympic athletes trying to compete in the LA Games. So response is divided. The White House and Republicans say that this measure ensures not only fairness, but safety for women in sports.
Okay.
But human rights advocates say that this order exposes young people to harassment and discrimination, emboldening people to question the gender of kids who don't fit this, what they say is a narrow view of how they're supposed to dress or look.
Yes.
So the question is, how big of an issue is it really? Well, according to statistics, about less than 1% of the population over the age of 13 in the U.S. are transgender. This is a study by the UCLA, and the number playing sports is smaller than 1%.
So hence, it's already been an issue. It was an issue even before Trump came into the presidency, but even more so now, it's in the news once again. All right, so next, we have a couple of airplane-related stories. Before we, stress anybody out, we're not trying to, cause anxiety. So no one was hurt in any of these stories. However,
this is very important to. Yeah, no one was hurt, so we don't have to worry. But I don't know, my eyeballs might hurt from rolling them so much because they're kind of issues.
Okay.
So at Jeju International Airport, a flight was delayed for an hour. That's stressing me out already. Kind of. But because a passenger touched the emergency exit door out of curiosity. Yeah.
How old was this person, by the way?
In their 30s.
Oh, so it wasn't like a
This is roughly in my
teenager.
age group. I'm like, you know what? As someone in my 30s, I know not to touch stuff out of curiosity. I'm just saying. So this was a Korean Air 1326 flight from Jeju to Gimpo. This is when the flight attendants were giving the safety demonstration. A man in his 30s touched the exit door handle and the cover came off. There was a little bit of an argument between this passenger and the flight attendant who tried to stop him. He was escorted out of the plane with the airport police. So, there was questioning involved, but he was let go with a warning because they said, well, there was no intent to destroy anything or he didn't do this out of malice or aggression.
I would not feel safe, though.
No.
On a plane with somebody who touched the emergency
You
handle.
would not touch
out of
stuff
curiosity?
out of curiosity
No.
that doesn't belong to you. So once again, he said it's out of curiosity, but keep in mind that under Aviation Security Act, passengers cannot arbitrarily touch or operate
No.
the exit door or any of the mechanics on a plane.
That just makes me nervous.
Right.
Because anytime you're on a plane, you're already nervous. And there have been so many stories as of late, not just from, airlines here in Korea or, but just around the world, right? About airplane stories.
Right.
And there was another airplane collision in the U.S., but this time it was much less serious.
Right. So
Yes.
once again, no one was injured.
Yes.
But it was absurd. So, okay, just kind of a personal touch. I got a call a while ago. I was home. Someone hit my parked car.
Aw.
And I was like, the car was parked. Like, why? Why though?
Oh, did they call you though?
Oh,
at
they
least?
called me. So
Okay,
it was
okay.
like a nice moment,
Oh,
and we
okay,
like
okay.
had a very nice text message exchange, and we were neighbors.
You're okay.
But then a plane hit a parked plane.
Really?
Which once again, why? Like how? So the entire thing happened on the ground. So Japan Airlines plane ran into a parked Delta plane. So this happened once again in my old stomping grounds, the airport of SeaTac, Seattle-Tacoma in Washington State, Wednesday morning. So the Japan Airlines aircraft was taxiing. It was on the ground, moving. When it reportedly struck the tail of a parked Delta plane. So the Japan plane has just touched down on the tarmac from Tokyo.
Okay.
And the Delta plane was actually in line to get defrosted before taking off. Once again, no injuries reported, and everybody, especially the passengers on the Japan Airlines flight, safety deplaned, and they were transported to the terminal. But investigation will follow as
it's needed,
right? Of course, of why.
Why? But
and
also
how.
anything like that, even if it was minor,
right,
makes you nervous.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Next up, this is another tale of woes from small businesses. So what happened?
All right. So this is from the online business people's forum, and this post was titled "Kids Hanbok Returns Coming Out After Seollal."
Oh, don't tell me. Is that
I'm
what you're
telling you? This is what I'm telling you. So the writer
Mm.
sells kids' clothes and says year after year they get a barrage of returns from customers who allegedly buy hanbok for the holidays and then return them
That
after
is
the
so
holidays.
wrong. There should be a disclaimer and say no returns.
Oh, but there is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm
Oh.
bringing. Because so by the way, as much as I like to just talk about stuff,
yes,
we do try to bring stuff, with a bit of background, with like legal background to it.
Yes.
And so here's the problem: people might think, well, you just use it once and you return it. You're not hurting anyone.
Yeah, you are.
You are. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Because with the manufacturer of these seasonal clothing won't take them back,
Right.
nor will the headquarters. So it's the small business, this individual business person that has to eat the cost. There was apparently a 10,000 won return fee, but some parents seem to take that as like a rental cost. Which I'm like, also there are
Really?
rental places. Go on your neighborhood, carrot page. Ask friends. I know kids grow out of hanbok and holidays are just twice a year thing.
That's why you have hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
Or just, sharing, community, I don't know.
Or don't dress them in hanbok. Like,
Right.
how about that?
It's okay. So are there no regulations or laws against this?
Well, here's the thing. Even if a website says no returns,
Yes.
consumers have rights. And, I really hate people who kind of take advantage of such rights.
Or sometimes abuse.
I know.
Yes.
But under the Act on the Consumer Protection in Electronic Commerce,
Okay.
전자상거래법 17조 1항, the consumer can request a refund within 7 days of purchase without any reason. And apparently even the line no refunds or whatever, because there's a law, it bypasses that. By the way, this particular hanbok, according to the writer, had
folds around the knees and the arms because they
Meaning
were
the kid
used.
was
And
in the
even the
hanbok.
skirt, because kids are careless, had footprints.
Oh my gosh, that's severe.
I'm like, do you really want to show that example to your children?
Right.
Like, really?
Pass that down generations. You know, okay, so this is my whole take on this. If you're going to order a hanbok, do it well in advance. But if it doesn't fit, I understand. But, you know, if you exchange it like before the Seollal or like a holiday, it makes sense. Like, oh, it didn't fit or you want to refund it. It's not pretty, you know, whatever. But I don't know. After, I just have... I can't say the names on air. But
just don't do that.
Just don't. Well, thank you for all the really interesting stories. And of course, we'll check in with you. On Monday.
That's right.
Have a good
great weekend.
Bye, Haley. Bye. All right. So now we're going to get to our updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your traffic update. There is an accident on 중앙대로 from Tusil Station to the Gudok Underpass. This is a 3-car collision. So please be careful, especially in this area. Congestion building on Bonyonglo from Suyang to Mangmi Station. Also, there is traffic congestion on 중앙대로 from Samjeon intersection to Seomyeon intersection, and also looking quite slow on Ulsuk-do-대로 from Ulsuk-do towards Changnim. As for the weather, it's currently -1 degree. Under clear skies, a daytime high expected to go up to 3 degrees Celsius. There is a dry weather special report in place over Busan. The cold snap continues across the country with snow coming down in most parts of the country. You know, the weather forecast does say that we know here in Busan, we might see some snow flurries. So we can look forward to that. That means you're going to have to be extra careful driving or if you're out and about. For tomorrow, you can expect a low of -8, a high of 2. And on Sunday, slightly warmer, a low of -6 and a high of 5. But clear skies for the weekend. This was your traffic and weather.
Talk anymore. We don't talk anymore.
This is Charlie Puth featuring Selena Gomez. We don't talk anymore.
We used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Oh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. I just heard you found the one you've been looking for. I wish I would have known that wasn't me. 'Cause even after all this time I still wonder why I can't move on just the way you did so easily. Don't wanna know the kind of dress you're wearing tonight, if he's holding on to you so tight the way I did before. I overdosed, should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain. Oh, it's such a shame. But we don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Oh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do.
I just hope you're lying next to somebody who knows how to love you like me. There must be a good reason that you're gone. Every now and then I think you might want me to come show up at your door, but I'm just too afraid that I'll be wrong. Don't wanna know if you're looking into her eyes, if she's holding on to you so tight the way I did before. I overdosed, should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain. Oh, it's such a shame.
But we don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Oh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. dress you're wearing tonight. If he's giving it to you just right, the way I did before.
I overdosed. Should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain.
Oh, it's such a shame that we don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of it for? Oh, we don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't talk
Welcome back, everybody. Let's get to our text topic one last time before we get into our special interview. So today I've been asking you if you could choose a Korean item or service that you would like send abroad and you think, hey, this would be a really good business idea. What would it be? And so some of your responses have been interesting. I see a couple, like JB says 찜질방. Well, 찜질bangs are already, at least in the States, they already have them. Ooh, but that's definitely a good K product. What else? I see this one from Michael who says, K 입시 학원 어떨까요? Ivy League 가고 싶어 하는 외국인 친구들 깜짝 놀라지 않을까요? And the thing is this, like back in the day when I was studying, in the States, there was no actually there was like one SAT 학원 that had opened up and it was by a Korean person. But like back in the day, we just used books. I went to a bookstore, bought a book, and studied on my own. Also, though, in terms of 학원 nowadays, all the 학원s that have opened up that I know of thus far, 학원 있어요, 미국에도요. 예, 근데 누가 열었을까요? 네, 맞아요. Korean owners. Because they know that the fervor for education, it is universal. So yes, definitely. But those are really good ideas. I do agree with you. Hey, what do you think about my idea? The one I said, the kids cafe thing. The ones here in Korea are like superior to the ones I have seen abroad. So anyhow, very good ideas. But for now, we are going to get to our special interview. All right, listeners, we have been talking about the flu, it being the flu season, and the fact that recent reports indicate a significant increase in deaths related to influenza and pneumonia here in South Korea. Plus, we heard of, and I reported on Barbie Shu's tragic sudden passing. From what I understand, I think it started with influenza and then it turned into pneumonia. Anyhow, which highlights the severity of how it can be, especially during the flu season. Health authorities are expressing concerns over the rising mortality rates. We're talking about death rates and are urging the public to please get vaccinated. Let's find out more about this pressing issue and other respiratory illnesses. And we have invited back to the airwaves Dr. Alice Tan, who's an internist at Seoul Ms. Medi Hospital. So let's get her take on everything and let's see how she's been doing. Hi, are you there, Dr. Tan?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to hear your voice, though. Thank you for joining us. Hey, so Dr. Don, it does seem that this season, at least, we've definitely seen it in the news, and I'm sure many people have heard about people coming down with a flu this season, but people dying from flu and pneumonia this year, is it just in our heads, or are there numbers to back this up?
So certainly the 2024-2025 influenza season this year has been the most severe compared to the last 4 years in our country. For example, the peak number of inpatients admitted per week for influenza-like illness this season was 1,627, whereas last season, so last year, the peak number was about half that, so 841 cases. And 2 years ago, the peak was 1,101, so significantly lower than this year's. On top of this background of high influenza activity, the recent high-profile death that you mentioned of a Taiwanese actress, Barbie Hsu, who was married to a South Korean singer, I think has heightened people's awareness of the potentially deadly consequences of influenza infection, especially since she was relatively young. According to one study, every year there are about 1 to 3 million cases of influenza diagnosed in South Korea, with an average number of deaths attributed to influenza varying between about 500 to 5,000, depending on how the statistics are generated. Fortunately, it does appear that we are beyond the peak of winter flu season. So I think that happened during the first week of January. But now that people have returned from the Lunar New Year holiday and the nation is going through a severe cold snap, we do need to stay vigilant, especially since there can be a second surge of influenza in the spring. So typically in March or April. So we need to be, we're not completely in the clear yet. According to the Korean Ministry of Health and Welfare, the main influenza variants in circulation now are well matched against this season's flu vaccination formulation. And there are no genetic mutations that indicate resistance to the antiviral medications used to treat influenza. So I think what's going on is there's just a background of flu activity that's much higher than compared to previous years.
I see. And so this link, is there a link between influenza and leading to pneumonia, 폐렴? So this, at least with the Barbie Hsu story, that's what the reports seem to indicate. But is it true that influenza can turn into pneumonia, and how dangerous can it be?
Yes. So pneumonia is one of the most serious complications of influenza infection.
Yes.
And in high-risk individuals, and this group includes people with underlying health conditions such as diabetes or chronic heart disease, anyone aged 65 years and above, pregnant women and young children, influenza can be even fatal. So, for example, the most recent week for which we have data, which is the 5th week of 2025, half of the people admitted to hospital for severe acute respiratory infection were aged 65 years and older. And the second age bracket admitted for pneumonia due to influenza is children between the ages of 1 and 6 years old. The most common viral cause of respiratory infection was influenza in our country, followed by respiratory syncytial virus. Other than pneumonia, serious complications of influenza include ear and sinus infections, brain inflammation, heart inflammation, and sepsis. And so certainly influenza can cause severe and serious illness and can be fatal in some cases.
Right. And the thing is this, I mean, you know, we have you on frequently, Dr. Tan, and like you're in, you're out, whether it's you or with other experts. I have to ask this question just because some people think like, oh, the flu is just a bad cold. And, you know, I recently had a cold. I went to the doctor, you know, did what I was supposed to do, you know, in terms of vaccines and whatever. I didn't have the flu. However, I did have a cold, and it lingered for such a long time with the phlegm, the mucus and all that. But the flu and the common cold, they are different, are they not?
Yes, so they're caused by different viruses.
Yes.
For the majority of people, an influenza infection will feel like a head cold plus body symptoms.
Yes.
So you have the runny nose, the sore throat, the cough, the sneezing. But on top of that, you can have a fever. It could be very high fever or sudden onset of fever, muscle achiness, and possibly diarrhea as well. I've had patients who were young, healthy. One patient that I recall was a physical education teacher who used to be a professional rugby player. So a very, you know, a healthy individual. He had influenza, and it just... He said it felt like a truck had run over him. He just felt so sick. So the flu it can just seem like a bad cold, but it can be very, very severe as well.
Yes.
And if a person has a weak immune system, they may not be able to fight the virus off. And in those cases, influenza infection can lead to pneumonia or other severe complications.
Right. And then there are people who always say, well, the vaccine for the flu, it's not 100%. So why do we need it? Or maybe does it really help? There are skeptics out there. So what would you say to the general public, Dr. Tan?
So every year, the effectiveness of the influenza vaccine does vary, but on average, you can consider that a flu vaccination will decrease your chances of getting an infection by about 50%. So anywhere between 40 and 60%. So considering the potentially severe consequences of influenza, vaccination is highly recommended for the high risk groups.
Yes.
So in South Korea, we have the national vaccination program, immunization program, and people who are in the high risk categories, they can get a annual flu vaccine for free. It's included in our national program. And so those would be people aged 65 years and older, people with underlying conditions that would weaken their immune system, also pregnant women, and then children between the ages of 6 months and 12 years of age. They can all get a free yearly flu shot.
Indeed. Thanks for letting us know once again, reminding us. And, some people might say this. Why is it that like person A has a flu, person B has a flu, but, for person A, the symptoms are very severe, like the one you just mentioned, the PE teacher, former rugby player. And then some people, they might have tested positive for the flu, but it kind of, it's okay. Like the symptoms are not as severe. So is it like just basically, as you say, maybe a lower immune system, or age or health conditions or pre-existing, health conditions, or is it sometimes the luck of the draw, how hard you're hit?
So I would say in general, having a weak immune system is the central risk factor for severe illness due to influenza. So as I said, anyone who's older than 65 years of age or older, being very young, so younger than 6 months of age, having underlying chronic lung, heart, kidney, or nervous system condition, anyone who is taking an immune suppressing medication, and then, as I mentioned, pregnant women, they all fall into this category of having a weakened immune system.
Yes.
And so these are the people who are at higher risk of developing severe disease due to influenza. There may be other individual factors as well. That may not be as well defined, but in general, we can just say if you have a weak immune system, that puts you at higher risk for developing more severe disease if you are infected due to influenza.
Yes. And, you've already given us really good information about the vaccine, Dr. Tan, but what else can we do? I mean, we know the basics, right? Wash your hands with, warm water and soap, being really trying to practice good hygiene. But what about things like drinking, lots of warm water or fluids or wearing masks? I've been doing that, like outside of the station, I just slap a mask on just because I was sick for like 3 weeks and I felt okay, but the cough just went on and on. So is there anything else we can do?
Well, so if we recall, influenza rates were very, very low during the pandemic, and that's when people practiced heightened infection prevention precautions.
Indeed.
And so that proves that, very dramatically, it shows proof that these precautions do work. So as you mentioned, wash your hands frequently with soap and water or use an alcohol-based hand rub.
Sure.
Wearing a high-quality mask can help. Avoiding crowded indoor spaces with poor ventilation. Sanitizing high-touch surfaces.
Yes.
And then if you have young children or, kids who are in preschool, just talk with the director of the preschool and just say, hey, are you guys wiping down these high-touch surfaces? Just reminding people that that's what we need to do during cold and flu season. And then staying away from anyone who is visibly ill. Of course, these are all measures that could prevent respiratory infectious diseases. Drinking warm water is not proven really to help, but if you keep your mucous membranes moist.
Yes.
And those are the first lines of defense in a person against infectious diseases. So using a humidifier to keep the humidity level at a safe level, and then drinking warm water just to keep your mucous membranes moist. They can help, but it hasn't really been proven.
I see. Well, thank you for clarifying that, plus giving us some really good information today to make sure that we're all safe. Thank you, and take care, Dr. Dunn.
Thank you.
Once again, this was our special interview with Dr. Dunn. So, the basics we know, but we sometimes need to be reminded of to do again with, the good hygiene, practicing of such. And, wiping down and, the high, the areas, surfaces where there's a lot of high traffic, that's a good one too. So we always come into the studio, we're wiping everything down before we go on air. So I'm glad to know we're doing something right. All right, let's get into our song break. This is What You Know by Two Door Cinema Club.
Get time to realize it's right before my eyes, and I can take it if it's what I want to do. I am leaving, and this is starting to feel like it's right before my eyes, and I can taste it. It's my sweet beginning. I can tell just what you want. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. I can't say it's what you know, but you know it the whole time. Yeah, you know it the whole time. Maybe next year I'll have no time to think about the questions to address. Am I the one to try to stop the fire? I wouldn't test you, I'm not the best you could have attained. But why try anything? I will get there. Just remember, I know that I can tell just what you want. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. And I can't say it's what you know, but you know it the whole time. Yeah, you know it the whole time. I can tell just what you want. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. And I can't say it's what you know, but you know it the whole time. Yeah, you know it the whole time.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is now time for Vasana. You probably see him already, so let's get to our next segment. We'll be back in just a short while.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
You're playing air drums on air with us. Are you Vasana?
I am.
You are.
Yeah, I missed the cymbal smash.
And the thing is, like Vasana, like off air, he was asking me, he's like, whose birthday is it? Because like he saw all of the birthday wishes going on. So once again, Choi Yunjung Waver, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes, and I sent a message saying, it's not just like her family, of course. Like, I think her husband drove her to work today. And
it's better than driving her up the wall.
But also like the fact that like, our waivers, you guys are just so sweet with each other. And of course to our team as well. But, sending her like birthday messages. I think someone's like sending her a cake. Like they're
nice.
So like really nice to each other.
Wow.
Love it. Love it.
BFM is family.
Yes.
Nice.
It is. Okay. We are. All right. So let's get into our text topic for you.
What's the text topic? Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one?
You got to put your creative hat on. All right. So if you could export a K product or service anywhere to New Zealand or abroad anywhere, like what would it be? We have like K food, K content, K pop. Some people have mentioned things, for example, I mentioned like, the kids cafes in Korea are like way superior, in my opinion, to some of the stuff I've seen abroad. So I would say, yeah, like the K-brand, like kind of kids cafes would be good. Other people have mentioned, what did they mention? Oh, they've mentioned things that might already be in existence, like, K hagwons. And they're run by Koreans, by the way, yeah. Because it's art. Is there anything that you would like to kind of export?
Well, New Zealand is a very quiet place.
Yes.
And quite a lot of shops close at about 5 p.m.
Uh-huh.
So I would like to introduce New Zealand to this 24-hour convenience store culture.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, because like we kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
That things are open like
you can
around
wake
the clock.
up and go down to the supermarket or
and
rather
it's like
the convenience
super
store.
safe
Yeah.
and clean.
Yep.
And you can get anything,
and
right?
Convenient.
Exactly. Hence convenience store. Ooh, so in New Zealand that just
Oh yeah, I'd love that. I mean, we have our gas stations which have the
Right. But
you can't buy everything there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just snacks. All right. Let's get into what you have for us. What have you brought? What stories?
Okay. So we are living in this golden age of new technologies such as self-driving cars, AI, etc., etc.
Yes.
And with new technology also come new crimes. So things like voice phishing, cyberbullying, etc.
So bad.
So this is the latest crime straight out of cutting-edge technology.
Ooh.
More like cutting cheese technology. Cyber farting.
What? Is that a thing?
That's right.
Cyber passing of the gas?
Passing gas.
How?
So one woman in the UK has made legal history by becoming the first person ever convicted for a digital drive-by of the intestinal variety. So cutting edge, more like cutting the cheese, as I've already said. So we've all sent messages that we regret, like butt dialing or risky text, especially when we are inebriated, even a poorly worded email. But this woman weaponized her wind and used WhatsApp to send, "Play, what's that smell?"
Really?
So yeah, her crime, letting it rip on camera.
Okay. So what did she do exactly?
So when she, during the... I thought it was just one time, but this happened quite a few times.
Okay.
So she did it repeatedly from Christmas to New Year's. While the rest of us were making resolutions.
So what did she do though?
She put the camera close to her
butt,
rear end, and emitted.
So she was recording her
farts. Farts.
And then what did she do with that?
And sent it to her ex-boyfriend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that illegal?
The police caught wind of it at Christmas.
Caught wind. I got that fun, yeah.
But did nothing about it at Christmas, so she carried on doing it after that. So anyway, after she was caught and punished, guess what the punishment was?
What?
A year-long community order.
Oh.
A fine.
Ooh, she had to pay some money.
Rehab sessions and...
Rehab?
I don't know what you
How do you
would
rehabilitate?
Maybe send her to the dietitian or something.
I don't know. Okay.
And this is the one that made me laugh. A 2-year restraining order.
But it's offensive and it would really annoy me. And if it's the point where she sent it over and over,
yes,
I can understand that, right?
But
it could be considered as a form of stalking.
It's a two-way street, so to speak, because with digital things, you can block her. So why didn't he just block her?
I don't know.
And send it back. So he should have just blocked and report, and maybe even called tech support saying, "I've been haunted by a poltergeist."
Gust of wind? Not a poltergeist, poltergust.
Anyway, so
all these AJ gags.
Yes,
Love them, dad jokes.
AJ
Yes.
gags. So the moral of the story is clear. If you don't want to end up in court,
Yes.
keep your wind off the internet.
Apparently, that's the way to go, right?
Yes.
What a
Okay,
fun story
so
for Friday.
moving on from farts
Yes.
to land. Remember how last week I talked about an elephant not being given human status?
Yes.
Well, this week, this is really, I don't know. I don't know what to think of this story. A court in New Zealand has given a mountain, my best New Zealand accent,
a mountain,
human status.
What?
So let's put this under laws we did not see coming. A mountain in New Zealand has just been legally recognized as a person.
By a court in New Zealand?
By a court in New Zealand. So
what are you doing over there?
There's a lot to digest, and you have to understand the Maori culture, etc., etc.
Ah, okay.
But I just don't understand this one. So Mount Taranaki, it was called Mount Egmont up until the 90s. Then they changed it to Mount Taranaki. So it's now called Taranaki Maunga, which is a person. A mountain that is a person.
Okay.
So he has, or he, she, I don't know. It, he,
they,
she,
I don't know.
The person now has the rights and responsibilities of a human being. So this giant rock formation can theoretically vote.
Oh, no.
Get a driver's license. Take out a mortgage. I mean, if it's a human, recognized as a human, then it's able to do anything a human is able to do.
So can you explain why
this? It's to do with the Maori culture, viewing land or viewing New Zealand as part of their history, part of a living being.
I get the history. I get that, right?
Yeah.
But the living being.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know what to say for that one. So, while Taranaki is now a person, reiterating elephants can't be people under New Zealand law as well. So, a mountain is a person, but Dumbo, no dice. So,
Dumbo, no dice.
Let's talk about tourism. So, that means hikers are technically trespassing on a person. And if so, will a mountain press charges? Anyway, so
I'm just really trying to understand because, like, I want to respect, people's cultures. And it's maybe because we don't fully understand the history and the culture. It sounds kind of foreign to us, yeah.
There's another case a few years back. Oh, we're running out of time here.
No. We're not running out of time.
A few years back where they tried to say that everything from the ground right up until space was recognized as part of New Zealand. So even the satellites that were going over New Zealand space were therefore illegally entering New Zealand space, and so they had to pay some fees for passing through New Zealand space. And of course that didn't go through the UN, but this one has passed New Zealand law.
Okay.
So yes. I was going to. I have a few more jokes about being emotionally unstable, etc., but I'll leave those ones out.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, so if a mountain can be legally recognized as a person, where's my coffee? Then my coffee addiction should qualify as a dependent.
Dependent.
But anyway, I did have a video to show today, but you're by yourself.
I know the producers are not in today. She'll be back Monday.
So you guys can just search on the internet for stag calling competition in Germany.
Okay.
So you know how they have duck calling competitions?
Yes.
Yeah. So they have stag, which is a deer, a male deer. And this was really, really funny. So if you want to have a laugh, you can, because they were not just making the sounds, they were also just, their whole body was moving kind of like a deer as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So our waivers, you can search that on the internet and have a good laugh for the day.
Okay. Well, we definitely will.
Yep.
So do you have any special plans for the weekend?
For the weekend, just more writing, more reading books. I
writing
heard you,
what?
Writing my nonmun. Yeah, I had a digital copy of a book.
Yes.
But I've ordered the actual book because I do find reading books with holding a book and reading it is much better than reading it digitally.
Is that one of your resolutions, or is this for your thesis?
It's for my thesis, and plus reading books is it's good practice and a good way to learn more English.
Really?
Especially from people like me.
All right. Well, we're going to, of course, be joined by you next week as well. So thank you for joining us. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend and week. Thank you, Vasana.
Thank you.
All right. And it is time, almost, not quite to say goodbye. So this week we have, by the way, people are saying like, 화이팅, 논문 응원합니다, from whatever listeners for Vasana. Yes. So anyhow, for this entire week, it was kind of coming back from that long holiday. I felt like, at least for me personally, it was a little tough, right? Getting back into the grind of things. But, feeling much better. And I want to thank you all for your support, especially as I was kind of sick, getting over that cold, and that cough lasted forever. So I feel much better. And thanks to all your well wishes and enthusiasm and support. We do appreciate that. As always, here in Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan is produced by Choi Yun-jin, and we have our writers Haley Suh and Annie Moon. I'm your host, Catherine. I'll be back on Monday. I'm going to leave you with this song, Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Army couldn't hold me back. They're gonna rip it off, taking their time right behind my back. And I'm talking to myself at night because I can't forget. Back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette, and a message coming from my eyes. Leave it about it. Every single one's got a story to tell. Everyone knows about it, from the Queen of England to the hounds of hell. And if I catch it coming back my way, I'm gonna serve it to you. And that ain't what you want to hear, but that's what I'll do. And the feeling coming from my bones says find a home.
부산영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는